The small village of Blatten rests in the Swiss Alps. It's usually a very quiet and peaceful place with high mountains standing tall all around, but on one shocking day, the mountain brought disaster. A very large piece of the Birch Glacier suddenly broke away, and this was a huge and terrifying event for everyone. The people were very scared by what they saw and heard. The ground itself shook with the immense power of the falling ice and rock. The main part of the Great Glacier collapsed on May 29, 2025. It was a truly terrible and unforgettable moment for all. A giant wall made of ice and heavy rock started to move quickly down the steep mountain slope. It looked like a dark river, but it was made of stone and ice, heading straight towards the little village of Blatten. The sound it made was like loud thunder, a deep rumbling noise filling the air. The sky above grew dark with dust as a very large amount of material came crashing down the mountain. So much rock, ancient ice and dirt fell all at once, forming a massive, widespread pile. Experts who studied it said it was about 3 million cubic meters, like many thousands of big trucks all full of heavy material. This huge mess of debris covered a very large area of land, piled up many meters deep in some places. The village of Blatten was almost completely buried under it all. Videos of the massive glacier collapsing quickly appeared online, and people all over the world watched these videos in shock. They saw a huge, dark cloud of dust rising high into the air, with images clearly showing the awesome and frightening power of nature. But for the people who lived in Blatten, it was not just a video. It was their homes, their streets, and their lives changed in an instant. The first sight of the terrible destruction was heartbreaking for everyone who knew and loved the village. The Birch Glacier, high above Blatten, was quite unusual. Many other glaciers in Switzerland and around the world are getting smaller because the Earth's climate is getting warmer. But the Birch Glacier had actually been growing bigger in recent years, which was a strange and somewhat worrying sign for the experts. They learned that many rockfalls were causing this growth. These rocks fell onto the glacier from the steep mountain, adding a lot of weight and pushing the glacier slowly forward. These rockfalls from the mountainside were a very big problem. Large and small rocks would break free from the mountain face above, landing directly on top of the glacier's ice surface. Over time, this made the Birch Glacier extremely heavy. All of this extra weight was far too much for the ice to support, putting a lot of pressure on the glacier. As a result, the ice began to crack and weaken significantly, making the entire glacier very unstable and dangerous. Another important factor was something called permafrost, which is ground that stays frozen all year round for many years. It acts like a natural glue, holding rocks and soil together in mountains. However, climate change is causing the Earth to become warmer, melting the permafrost in high mountain areas. Scientists found that the permafrost in the Alps near Blatten had warmed by at least 1 degree Celsius. When permafrost melts, it makes the rocks on mountain slopes become loose and unstable, meaning more rocks fall down. Switzerland's famous glaciers are suffering greatly from climate change, having lost a very large amount of their ice volume since the year 2000. Global warming is the main reason for this rapid melting, which also makes the mountains themselves less stable. Because of this, dangerous rockfalls and landslides are happening more often. The Swiss Academy of Sciences has confirmed this link, stating that global warming increases the instability of rock faces. Nature in the Alps is changing very quickly, bringing new dangers. Experts who were watching the Birch Glacier saw the growing danger. They noticed the glacier was moving much faster than usual, sliding down the mountain at about 10 meters every day. They knew from these signs that it might collapse very soon. So the local authorities had to make a very hard decision. They decided that the entire village of Blatten needed to be evacuated. This important evacuation happened on May 19, 2025, about 10 days before the biggest part of the glacier finally fell. Every single person had to leave their homes in Blatten. Around 300 residents packed their belongings and moved to safer places. It was not just people. They also worked hard to rescue their animals. The cows and sheep were very important to the village farmers, so special helicopters were brought in to help lift the livestock out. They were flown to safety in nearby areas. It was a very big and complicated operation for everyone involved. People felt sad to leave their homes and memories behind, but they understood it was necessary for their safety. The decision to evacuate the village was extremely important, almost certainly saving many lives that day. Because the village was empty, almost everyone was safe from the landslide. Sadly, it was reported that one man, who was 64 years old, went missing. Search and rescue teams tried to look for him, but the conditions in the area were too dangerous. More rocks and debris were still falling from the unstable mountain, making it impossible for the search to continue safely at that time. The mayor of Blatten, a man named Matthias Bellwald, spoke with courage. He shared some very brave and hopeful words after the disaster. He said, "We lost our village," then he added, "but we did not lose our lives, and that is what counts." Mayor Bellwald also promised, "We are going to be in solidarity." He declared, "And we will rebuild. Everything is possible." These words showed the strong spirit and determination of the Blatten community, even in such a difficult time. They planned to face the future together. The landslide that came down from the Birch Glacier was truly enormous, causing terrible destruction to the village of Blatten below. Official reports stated that about 90% of the entire village disappeared, completely buried under a thick layer of rock, heavy ice and dirt. Houses, shops, streets and the church were all gone, hidden beneath the debris. The once pretty and lively village was now a silent grey wasteland. It was a very sad and shocking sight for all who saw it. The huge amount of fallen debris caused another serious problem for Blatten. The rocks and ice completely blocked the local Lonza River, so the water from the river could no longer flow through its normal path. Because of this blockage, a new lake started to form behind the debris dam, quickly growing bigger and bigger each day. The rising water then flooded the few buildings that were still standing on the edge of the debris field, making the overall damage to the area even worse. The danger for the area around Blatten is not completely over yet. The newly formed lake behind the debris dam is a continuing risk. If the river water rises too high and overflows the dam suddenly, it could be very bad, causing a fast and destructive mud flow or debris flow downstream. For now, people cannot return to what was once Blatten. The village, as they knew it, is gone. Experts believe that the full recovery and rebuilding process will take many years of hard work. Many experts were shocked by the size and power of this event. Christophe Lambiel, a specialist in high mountain geology, called it the unthinkable, the catastrophic worst-case scenario. He explained that climate change and melting permafrost played a significant role in this disaster. Despite the terrible loss, the people of Blatten are showing great strength. They now face a long and very hard path ahead of them, but they are determined to support each other through this. They hold on to the hope of rebuilding their community again someday.